Hey y'all, hey, this is Media Boss Goldie, and today I am Coach Alanda. I have multiple hats, and I just want to I'm testing this out. I'm revamping my series, Still Bleeding. So before we go into anything, and I this is a one shot thing, so don't beat me up too bad, y'all. But anyway, as I wanted to say that I'm doing a revamp of a series I did in 2019, and it's titled Still Bleeding. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on the Coach Atlanta YouTube channel. And I thought it was very important to bring this series back out because I did not complete the full 10 episodes. I stopped. Now I have the information that I need to do my last episode of Still Bleeding. Still Bleeding is very informative. It is about taking ownership of your life, how to stop hurting others around you. Sometimes we don't know how we're hurting other people, but we're also damaging ourselves. It is also to stop generational um, damage, generational curses. It is to heal your generations all through our family lineage. Our ancestors are waiting for the moment that our bloodline is completely healed so we can live the life that was really made for us. And as right now, as a saying goes, there's no time and space there's no time and space. Everything pretty much is existing at the same time: history, present, future, all of that. However, right now, as this moment, as we're living and breathing on earth school, we are learning to what is our purpose. We're learning to um, get and move around in this world. We're learning how to separate ourselves from the emotional damage, not just separate, but to heal it. So, in this series, I'm going to speak on lot of ways that we are hurting ourselves, the reaction, how do we help, how do we grow from this, what can we learn from the what happened to us, what was the point, how do we release it, how do we forgive. It's so much and to unpack. So I have 9 episodes and the 10th one will be done. So I want you all to really get into this, get notebooks. I'm going to have references to material in here. I'm going to have books included in each episode. You're going to have a link to all the references of where to go buy A, B, and C, whatever is in there, right? Because I can't even remember. So I'm going through this series as if this is new, right? So there will be some mistakes. Some of the videos will be a little weird looking because this was in 2019. This is now 2024. So this is 5 years ago. And I'm very excited about this because this is something that it was given to me in a dream. And to see it 5 years later is like, oh my God, I did all of this researching and I really wanted to, like, oh my gosh, I'm pouring all this out. And it happened right after my aunt died, right? And she was in a dream as I'm going through, and I'm going to explain all this. It's in episode 1, the very first episode, the introduction of Still Bleeding. But what I want to touch on today, and this is part of my inspirational Sunday, right? This is Inspirational Sunday. So every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I want to give some coaching tips, some little tidbits of information. Also, this is a subscriber channel. So if you subscribe to my Facebook page, Coach Atlanta Facebook page, or if you are a group coach client or a one-on-one coach client, you will have access to the Still Bleeding. This right here is a free video that will be posted on all of my social media channels. You will get to see and hear the information that I'll be providing in the Still Bleeding. So if you're intrigued, get over to my any of my channels, any of my online profiles, so you can get a sample of Still Bleeding. I will cut a piece and so you can take a look at it. So what I'm going to talk about today is one of the episodes is called The Victim Experience. And the victim experience pretty much is going to touch on what makes a victim, right? What is it? How are people living in a victim mentality and don't even realize this is part of their everyday life and is not serving them well, right? So part of it, the victim experiences, is it takes more energy to make excuses than to own a responsibility. It is. It takes more. You don't even realize how much energy you are constantly playing in your head. You using this experience and you reliving it over and over again and not doing anything about it. It's so much of a challenge. It's easy to do because your subconscious mind, your brain takes this information in. It's like a computer. It's going to keep running on what you give it, right? So the power you're giving your brain is victim mentality, lack of responsibility, reliving a traumatic experience, PTSD. So these are parts of victims. And you know what? And let's not stop. And I don't want to put it in a term that victims are so damaged that it's bad being a victim. No, victims are victims and they still need help. As victims, we need help. We need assistance to heal, and that's what the victim mentality is. We need assistance to heal. So it's not like it's like we're victim shaming. This is a way of, let's own our healing. Let's feel so we can heal. You're going to hear me say this a lot throughout the series. So during the victim experience, and this is episode 4. So before you get to episode 4, it's going to be a whole lot more, but I'm giving a piece of it that I think is very important as to why this series was created. Okay. So you can deny healing, but you beg for help. Say that you're giving resources to help yourself out of situations, but you don't really want to because, for one, it may be too painful. Uh, it may just be that you're afraid. A lot of times we stay in mode because we're fearful. Okay. We are fearful for what is going to come, if the other shoe is going to drop. I'm afraid to live my best life right now because I know there's going to be some danger around the corner. So it's it's easier to have someone else take a risk for you than you take the risk yourself, because you've been so wrapped up in this mentality that you cannot do it. You can't move forward. You're afraid. You can't, you know what I mean? So this is what the victim experience is. It stunts your growth. Yeah, sometimes when your growth is stunning, and you can think of terms that you may use, like, I was born like this. I'm never going to change because this is how I am. That's still complacency, and not just complacency, it's also fear. Complacency is also a part of fear. You're afraid to move on. And here's the thing: even growing up, we don't know of the growing pains that we have when we're growing up as children. Think about a baby that first started walking. They are very not familiar with walking, but they know there's a little thing in their brain that you have, get up. You have the ability to do this because everyone else is using their new legs, right? They're using their legs and they're very good at it, right? So you're a baby and you're fearful because if you fall that first time, it give you an apprehension of, oh, I don't know if I want to do this because I might fall, right? Especially if the first step is a bad fall and nobody's watching baby as you're trying to take a step and they really hurt themselves, and then it may take a little more time for the baby to move. So this is a human behavior, right? I'm not a human. I'm not a social. No, what's the word for it? I'm not into social behaviorism, right? I didn't go to school for it. I went to school for business administration, but I've gone to school for life coaching and learning the dynamics of brain, left brain, right brain, learning the mental, physical, emotional parts of who we are. How do we work through our issues and problems? So, thinking about the victim experience, we can believe that, if I do this I might hurt myself, if I go that way, I don't know, so the victims take on a whole other thing, because if you have someone that's always been around you to take on the responsibility to save you from disaster, always, not just one time, because here's the thing: if you are in trouble and you have someone to come and rescue you, that's fine, because at that moment you could not do anything else yourself. That's totally different than someone that's always looking for someone to save them all of the time. Okay, so don't want you all to get confused that you always got to be strong, because even the strong people, the ones that are resilient, that's always going and taking care of themselves and saving themselves, those two are victims of themselves. Now, I may not have put that in the series, and so in my 10th episode of this Still Bleeding series, I will be wrapping all of this up, and I will be touching on this information, because there may be some bits and pieces that I've missed through the nine episodes. Because let me tell you something, that was 5 years ago, and I have gotten more revelation. So trust me, episode 10 is going to be lit. It's going to be on fire, and it may be even a live event that we will take questions and answers. We'll speak on it, but I just want to speak on this victim mentality. So just to give you a little idea of what we'll be breaking down. And this is the fourth episode that I'm speaking on. So by the time you get to the fourth episode, if you decide to subscribe, if you decide to subscribe, you will get to this part. Complaining is another weapon of victims, right? And it's not that they're doing it on purpose, it's a weapon against themselves. So sometimes we create these weapons, and I hear people speak that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. If you're forming the weapons, they could prosper, because you're forming your own weapons against yourself. You're not realizing it's a pattern that we are repeating over and over again. um when you were being a victim, you depend on strong people. You see other people are doing for themselves, you want them to do for you too, because they seem like they got all the answers, they got it all figured out. It's easier for me. It's a path of least resistance. I can go that way, which is really not a path of least resistance. It is creating more resistance. I will speak on that, because resistance is another key component of being a victim, right? Um, what else? You become an energy vampire. You come around, you always got a woe is me story. Yeah, everybody, you want people to take care of some things. You don't want to deal with it. You don't want to be bothered with it. And so therefore you start ciphering off of other people that, again, that appear to be strong and take on a lot. And the reason why, because their kindness, and they're holding space for you to finally get it. Or some people like saving victims, because there are saviors that like saving people, because it distracts them from saving themselves, which in kind of entails make them victims as well. They're in a victim mentality, but they're at a hierarchy of, I can save them, because and because deep down they can't save themselves. It's easier to save other people than saving yourself. So in a way, there's it's still victims, right? It's still a victim mentality. And I'm not saying that people can't help each other, but there are people that would do everything they can outside themselves, so they do not have to feel the hurt or feel what's going on inside of them. And those are folks that usually love to be in other people's business, love to go in, and their house can be a total mess, and they will go and clean up somebody else's house, and they don't want to be in there. You know what I mean? Or they can be hoarders, but they'll go out and help the world and go into a house full of junk that's piled up around them, and this is their safe haven. You kind of follow me on this? So this is These other things that we'll be touching on is still bleeding. Now, the concept of still bleeding, is, as explained in the introduction in the first episode, is when you're bleeding physically, right? And you see you got blood and you cut and you don't do anything about it, you can bleed everywhere. Sometimes if you cut yourself accidentally, like in the kitchen or doing you working and you cut something on a sharp and you don't know you're bleeding, because sometimes we get those superficial cuts, but they bleed a lot because it's usually in your appendages and you just bleed and don't even realize you're bleeding. So that is physical, right? You just think about blood and people being cut, or and you bleed and don't realize it, and you got trails of blood behind you because you don't know you're hurt, or it, you just can't do anything about it right now because you don't have anything to cover it, right? Or you're just holding up your hand or whatever until you can get somewhere to take care of it. Well, in a spiritual, mental, financial, emotional sense, you can be bleeding and impacts everyone else. Think of it as a child, not even as a child, as an adult. You have a parent, you have children. And when you have children, you take on the world. Like something could have been that you and the child's father, I see this all the time, that you and the child's father, it's you and the child's mother, um, going through a rough patch. You may not even be speaking to the other parent right now, but the child is impacted by it. Things I have grown up in hearing, you just like them. You just like your father. You don't want to be like your father. You're just like your mother. You could, and you hear these things. That's a wound. That is an unhealed trigger. That's something that has been bothering them so much so that they're impacting their child. So here you are with this wound, open spiritual wound, emotional wound that you now bleeding on this child. You are now now what's going on. You got this happening. Now, one of my minister friends, when I said about open wounds, you said it get infected. Let me explain to you how a still bleeding wound, when it gets infected, when you're still bleeding, right? When you're bleeding, it's still fresh. When it's infected, it's been open, it's not been cleaned, and now it's eating away at your flesh. This is totally kind of like before it gets bad. So the Still Bleeding series is going to reach you all that still have these fresh open wounds of hurt, trauma, PTSD, and is going to help you so you do not infect your families, your children, your lineage, the rest of your legacy. You do not want to let an infection set up. Now your family is suffering. If you think about it in a sense of society and the communities, our whole communities, especially in America, like poverty. Poverty is an infection. It started off as a bleeding when it was fresh after Reconstruction here in America. At the Reconstruction, that was a bleeding phase, right? We had people that were building up and fought to build. They lived through lynching, they lived through slavery, they built up towns, and then here comes a lot of cities were destroyed because of Black wealth. I'm using this because I'm a Black woman and I can say this, right? So then there was a lot of damage. It set us way back in generational wealth. It's predicted by 2053 that the Black wealth gap, we will be at zero. The household income, the wealth gap, we will be so far, we'll be off the totem pole for wealth gap. It won't no longer be a gap. It'd be a wealth crater. It'd be out of this world. You get what I'm saying? So this was an infection that pretty much a virus infection that went through our communities and damaged a lot of our communities. Poverty became that. Drugs, redlining, systematic racism became an infection because we saw a uh, um, we felt that we could not defeat this lingering monster that was hovering over us, racism, that was taking our sons and husbands out of the house in the middle of the night and hanging them in trees. That was a fear. Fear became this infection. This infection destroyed our communities. Our communities are now have not been able to recover. Even the ones that can recover are their own, they're like in their own silos. Right now, as a whole, it is very challenging to heal all of that when everyone is still in this victim mode. We have been born into victim mode. Now it's time to wake up out of it. So that's why, again, I am bringing this back out. We're 5 years since the first episode I created, 5 years after. And now I have more revelation, more information to add to this because now it is time for all of us. Now, this is not just Black specific, but I use a Black reference and you growing up in our communities because it's happening in the impoverished areas of Appalachia, of rural America, because drugs are eating up these rural areas where white people are. Native Americans are suffering. Anyone that's not making over $150,000 a year are very susceptible to being victims of this. Now it's time for the communities to get together and start healing our open wounds so we can now start walking in our purpose, so we can live in a utopia that God brought to us, that God wanted us to live in the first place. It is time for us to get together, band together, be together, and restore and heal our communities. Now, this may be a little lengthy video, but I needed it to be lengthy so you all can kind of get the gist of what still bleeding is. Now, I am open to suggestions. I haven't done episode 10 yet. So when we get through this 9 uh, episodes that I will release weekly to my members, those of you all, whenever you join, you would be able to catch up. So if you join by the time I release episode 5, you'll have access to the first 5 episodes. If you join episode 10, you'll have access to the complete series. And this series will be available to paid subscribers and members of the group coaching. The group coaching and paid subscribers are two different things. The group coaching get a little more information. They get access to book clubs. They get access to other tiered things that is included in this coaching program, as well as the one-on-one. They get discounted one-on-one sessions with me for being a group coaching. If you are a subscriber, you will have just tips and tools for coaching. It'll be a separate group. You'll have a subscriber group. You will just see some of the offerings that we have every week. You will see some of the it's like the videos that we'll put up. This is a 30-minute video, will be all over my channel because I want everyone to see exactly what we're doing. There is another person that's in part of my group. She's an advocate. Her name is Carla Anderson. Duchess. She does tarot card readings, and she also is a when I say advocate, I mean it. She is rallying up the troops to fight for justice. So she is an advocate for change. She's a different type of coach. She can coach you and far as the justice system, like resources, how to stand up for yourself, right? So I'm an advocate for change when it comes down to the spiritual sense, right? I am taking a stand to help heal our communities when it comes to your thoughts, your spirituality, how it's a root to your financial breakthroughs, how you can get your mind together so you can take care of your family and get your mindset to get quicker manifestations, how you can um, stop the habits that you normally have to so you can stand up so you can have money to afford certain things. How can you budget the little money that you have? How can you have the faith? How can you change your mind to have faith of a mustard seed? This is the type of work I do. I like to do the metaphysical background, physical, spirituality to help you get your mind together. And my and Duchess, who is, I call her Duchess, but it's Carla, she will help you do get boots on the ground, get resources, get to other people that are in the same boat that can help each other. She's an advocate for change. She's a community leader, and she will be able to help coach on one side, and I'm coaching on the other side, right? So this is so every Sunday I will be doing inspirational Sundays, and this part is an introduction to the series Still Bleeding. It is also food for the soul. So next Sunday may look something totally different because this is just telling you about the still bleeding episode. Next week, I may be touching on something else, but I just want to let you know that each and every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, I will be releasing videos, some content, some tips on just some quick tips on what's what. There is also right now, if you go through Masterforce, there's it's so much information, but I got my certification through Masterforce. And right now Masterforce have a online uh, course. And if you get to the course before February 1st, you can get it for $49.99. Afterwards, it would be for $99. So if you get over there, and I'm going to post the link, it will be on my pages. If you sign up for for the Masterforce course, if you sign up for that, you would get free access to my subscriber channel on not the subscriber channel. You get free access to you'll get free access to the subscriber channel. I have to figure out how to do that because Facebook is weird, but I will give you free access into our group. Okay, so you get over so either way, if you support me on this channel, you'll get you'll get your perks and everything. Get into the tiers. I'm on Patreon. Patreon has the same setup. You buy a $25 tier, you'll get access to my subscriber channel. I'll figure out how to do that. Or if you do a $50 one on group coaching, you will get into the group coaching on Facebook. You will get the emails. You will have access to certain information, certain things. So you'll get over to TriPhoenix Patreon and find that out. You subscribe to the Master Force course right now that's available for $49.99. You would get access to my on my group coaching for free. Okay, just for doing that. So if you do that, you get not just access, you will get full access to this course from Masterforce, but you will get into my group coaching for free. You sign up for Masterforce. I will have, so you go onto my page. I'm going to remind you all this video will be up. I will put it on my Coach Alanda page on Facebook, and I will also put it on my personal page for those of you all that follow me, and it will be on YouTube. So again, I want to thank you all. Any information, anything any suggestions that you have, tell me about it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel because I also do some funny stuff. So I do a lot of, in addition to this, laughter heals us also. I am so good. I'm good at making people laugh, right? I say little crazy stuff. I do little crazy stuff. So I want you all to see all different sides of me because I am human too. And I like to have fun. Everything is not going to be serious, but I also have serious intentions. Okay. So just get over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Then get over to Facebook, become a subscriber for $4.99 a month. You can do that, and you have only subscriber subscriber access for Facebook. If you become a Facebook group, the group coaching for $50 a month, you will have access to everything that I said, to the Still Bleeding series. You'll have access to my next series, Empower to Dream, as well as the book. So you have access to all of these different things. So for more information, get over to tryfinishgroup.com. You will see coaching services. You will see if there's information, if you need some assistance, and if you're in the Iowa area and you need some assistance with some issues, especially if you're in Dubuque, Iowa, you have some social issues, some things you need, some resources you may need. Reach out to us. Go over to tryfinishgroup.com, send us an email, and we will get back. We will get to you as soon as possible. Because Carla, again, has a lot going on, and so she will respond as much as she can, because we are involved in a lot of things. We know a lot of people, and we can get you to where you need to go. But Carla is definitely one for social justice. She can help you. Okay. She says she is a voice for the people, and she wants to be that. Okay. So thank you all again. It was one more thing I wanted to say, and I can't remember what it was, but that's okay. So this is for my Sunday, Inspirational Sundays. This is Food for the Soul, January 28th, 2024. Get over to all of my channels, subscribe. Don't forget about the gifts and the perks. I will post it. You can see it. It will be online. It will be there. And until next time, thank you all. Love to love you. Peace.